Allo, allo, it's Nia. Welcome to AI Creator World Podcast, the place where creators learn how to grow faster, build smarter, and turn artificial intelligence into real opportunity. Here, we explore powerful AI tools, content strategies, personal branding systems, and new ways to create income in the digital era. If you are building something online, you are in the right place. Let's begin.
Imagine for a second a split screen.
Okay.
On the left side of your screen, you have this massive, I don't know, like a 50-person digital marketing agency.
Right, in some glass skyscraper in Manhattan.
Exactly. And they have, a department for copywriting, a whole separate department for graphic design, a team of data analysts just poring over spreadsheets all day.
And probably a dedicated social media manager whose literally only job is to hit publish at the exact optimal second.
Yeah, exactly. Now, on the right side of the screen, you have one single person.
Just a solo creator.
Right. Sitting in their living room on a Tuesday night, armed with nothing but a laptop, a cup of lukewarm coffee, and an idea for a business.
A very familiar scene for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. And for the entire history of social media,
Yeah.
that agency on the left just completely destroys the solo creator on the right.
I mean, it's a numbers game, right? It's purely an output game.
It is. But welcome to 2026. Because if that solo creator, and if you sitting at home know how to stack the right artificial intelligence tools, you aren't just competing with that Manhattan agency.
You're outperforming them.
Exactly. You are literally outperforming them.
Which completely shatters the barrier to entry for anyone trying to build an audience today. I mean, the leverage has just entirely shifted.
It really has. So welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to completely demystify this overwhelming, chaotic landscape of social media growth.
Because it is chaotic.
It is so chaotic. There's a new tool every 5 seconds, but we are extracting a very practical, highly actionable blueprint from this phenomenal expert guide we have today.
Right. The guide titled 12 Best AI Tools for Instagram Growth in 2026.
Yes, and I want to speak directly to you, the listener, right from the jump here.
Because we know exactly who's listening.
Right. Whether you are trying to launch a side hustle or, whether you're building a personal brand, or maybe you are just insanely curious about how modern creators seemingly pump out dozens of high-quality posts a week.
Without completely losing their minds.
Exactly. Without losing their minds, we get the frustration, the sheer volume of micro-tasks required to just maintain a baseline Instagram presence. I mean, it can feel totally paralyzing.
It creates a tremendous bottleneck.
Oh, for sure.
The cognitive load of just switching between writing and then designing and then scheduling and analyzing, I mean, it's enough to make most beginners quit within their very first month.
Absolutely. It's too much context switching. So by the time we finish this conversation today, you're going to walk away with a customized, incredibly clear stack of tools.
A real blueprint to automate the heavy lifting.
Yes. And look, we're not doing some dry tech lecture today.
No, please no.
Right. We're talking about discovering a secret shortcut to basically reclaiming your time so you can focus on the actual creative work that matters.
The stuff that actually moves the needle.
Exactly. But before we get into the shiny new software, we have to look at the wreckage of the old system.
We really do.
We need to establish why the old way of running an Instagram account manually is just. It's a guaranteed one-way ticket to burnout.
The manual workflow is essentially a relic at this point. I mean, think about what growing an account manually actually entails in granular detail.
It's exhausting just to think about.
Right. First, you have the research phase. You are spending hours just scrolling through hashtags, trying to manually guess which ones actually have the right amount of traffic.
Just typing them into the search bar one by one.
Exactly. Then you transition into the creative phase. You are sitting there, staring at a blinking cursor, trying to write a caption that somehow hooks the reader, provides value, and includes a call to action.
Just staring at that cursor at like 11 p.m. when you're already totally exhausted from your day job.
Yeah, and that's just the text. Then you have to open up a design program, figure out your typography, manually input your brand's hex color codes.
Ugh, the hex codes.
Right, and design a graphic that actually looks professional.
Which takes forever if you're not a trained designer.
And after all of that, You have to physically remember to pull your phone out at 7 full middle a.m. the next morning to actually post the thing.
When you're trying to brush your teeth and get out the door.
Exactly. And finally, you have to manually track how many likes and comments it got in some clunky spreadsheet just to figure out if any of that effort was actually worth it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when you lay it out like that, it sounds like a literal form of medieval torture.
It really is.
According to our source guide, there are 3 core bottlenecks that just stop beginners dead in their tracks: time, creative consistency, and strategic clarity.
Right.
And if you are doing everything manually, you are severely compromising all 3 of those things. But the most punishing part of this manual grind,
What's that?
the Instagram algorithm literally does not care how hard you worked.
No, it doesn't have feelings.
You do not get bonus points for suffering. The algorithm heavily rewards 2 things above all else: consistency and optimal posting times.
Because fundamentally, the algorithm is essentially just a machine designed to maximize human attention.
Right.
It thrives on very specific mathematical signals. And the 2 loudest signals you can possibly send it are your engagement rate and your posting frequency.
Okay, so let's look at the mechanics of those optimal posting times.
Yeah, let's break that down. When you post a piece of content, precisely when a large cluster of your specific audience happens to be active and opening their app, your post gets an immediate influx of micro interactions.
Like what kind of interactions?
Hey, like a 2-second pause on the scroll, a click to read the full caption, just tiny data points.
Right, okay, so those early micro interactions, they act like a flare going up in the night sky.
Exactly.
The algorithm sees that initial burst of heat from your core audience, and it interprets that as an indicator of high quality.
It creates what we call an engagement velocity score.
Engagement velocity, I like that.
Yeah, and if that velocity is high enough in the first, say, 20 minutes, the algorithm unlocks the next tier of distribution.
It opens the gates.
Right. It pushes your content to the Explore page, or it injects it into the feeds of people who don't follow you yet, but who share similar interests to the people who just engaged with it.
And our source guide points out a detail here that is absolutely critical for anyone starting out.
Which one?
For accounts with fewer than 10,000 followers, algorithmic discovery is the primary growth driver.
That is a huge point to underline.
Meaning your mom and your 20 friends liking your post, that isn't enough to grow a business.
No, it won't move the needle.
You cannot rely on your existing tiny audience to share your stuff enough to hit a tipping point. You need the algorithm to actively push you out to strangers.
Strangers are the only way you grow.
Exactly. And if you aren't hitting those optimal times and you aren't posting consistently enough to give the algorithm a baseline of data, you are essentially invisible.
You don't exist to the machine.
You are digging a swimming pool with a spoon.
I love that analogy.
Right. Like, could you eventually dig a pool with a spoon? Sure, maybe, if you don't collapse from exhaustion first.
Right, in a decade.
But those big brands and full-time creators, they are out there using excavators. And the AI tools we are diving into today, they are the excavators.
It's the heavy lifting.
They don't change the fact that you still need to dig a pool, like you still need to have a unique message, a perspective, a voice. But they fundamentally change the speed and the depth at which you can dig.
That analogy just hits the nail on the head. The tools don't invent your brand's soul, but they handle the excavation of the dirt.
Exactly.
But this brings us to a really major hurdle. Right now, in 2026, the term AI is slapped onto absolutely everything.
Oh my gosh, yes it is.
Every software company on Earth has basically bolted a simple chatbot onto their product and called it an AI revolution.
It's so annoying. Slapping AI on a product today is exactly like slapping organic on a tomato a few years ago.
Yeah.
Half the time, it's just marketing fluff that doesn't actually mean anything or improve the product at all. It's literally just designed to justify a higher subscription fee.
Which is exactly why we need a rigorous framework for evaluation. We can't just buy everything that says AI.
Right.
And our source material provides a brilliant filter for this. It states that not all AI tools are created equal, and as a creator, the only tools you should allow into your workflow are the ones that demonstrably and directly impact your follower growth and engagement.
Keep it strictly results-oriented.
Exactly. The guide breaks the legitimate tools down into 4 foundational pillars.
Okay, what are they?
We have content generation and design, auto-posting and scheduling, hashtag and discovery optimization, and analytics.
Okay, I have to pause you right there.
Uh-oh.
Because I am looking at that 4th pillar, analytics, And my immediate instinct is to just completely reject it.
I knew you were going to say that.
Look, we are talking to creative people here, right? Entrepreneurs, artists, builders. The minute I hear the word analytics, my soul kind of leaves my body
It sounds like corporate speak.
because I immediately picture a giant, endless Excel spreadsheet filled with pivot tables and cells. Is that really a foundational pillar we need to care about, or is that just for the data scientists at those big ad agencies?
I completely understand that reaction. A lot of creators feel that exact way. But what is truly fascinating about the source material is how it directly addresses that exact fear.
Oh, really?
It draws a very hard, very clear line between raw data and actionable insights.
Okay.
And understanding the difference between those two things, it changes the entire trajectory of an account.
All right, I'll bite. If I'm looking at my Instagram dashboard right now, what is the actual difference between raw data and an actionable insight?
Well, raw data is what bad analytics tools or even just the native Instagram app usually give you. Raw data says, hey, your post from yesterday got 450 likes and 12 comments.
Which gives me a nice little hit of dopamine, but it doesn't actually tell me what to do tomorrow.
Precisely. It is essentially just a vanity metric. It only looks backward. A good AI analytics tool, however, synthesizes months of that raw data and translates it into an actionable insight. It looks at the underlying mechanics.
So what does that look like in practice?
It will look at your dashboard and say, hey, your educational carousel posts earn 3 times more saves than your single image, quote, graphics. Or when you post a reel on Tuesday at 7 a.m., you experience a 40% higher reach to non-followers than when you post on Friday afternoons.
Oh, wow. Okay, my brain just shifted gears.
Right.
Because when it tells me that carousels get 3 times more saves, I know from what we just talked about that a save is a massive signal to the algorithm.
It's huge.
It tells the machine, this content is so valuable, the user literally wants to keep it in their personal library to look at later.
Exactly. A save is weighted much heavier mathematically by the algorithm than a simple like. A like is just a passive tap. A save is an active endorsement of utility.
So the actionable insight isn't just a boring spreadsheet. It is a direct, literal instruction for my content strategy next week.
It gives you your marching orders.
If the tool tells me carousels are generating saves, I don't have to sit at my desk guessing what my audience wants.
Yeah.
I don't have to rely on my gut feeling. I just make more carousels.
Yeah.
It completely removes the emotion and the ego from the creative process.
It eliminates all the guesswork. It frees up your cognitive load entirely. Instead of wondering what format to make, you just focus on making that specific format as good as possible.
Which is so much easier.
Right. Which transitions us perfectly into the actual creation process. Because Instagram is, at its core, an inherently visual platform.
Very true.
You can have the best, most deeply researched data in the world, but if your aesthetic foundation is weak, if your posts just look like a cluttered, ugly mess, nobody's going to stop scrolling long enough to read your brilliant insights.
The visual's the hook. If the hook is dull, the fish just swims right by.
Exactly.
So let's look at the tools that solve this design bottleneck. The source refers to this category as the visual engine.
And the guide highlights 4 major players in this space, beginning with Canva.
Old Canva.
Now, Canva is ubiquitous at this point, everyone knows it, but the source specifically focuses on a feature that fundamentally changes how a solo creator operates, the AI brand kit.
Yes, I want to highlight exactly why this is such a massive deal, because I remember the old way.
Oh, the old way was brutal.
The old way of maintaining a visual brand meant opening a new document, highlighting your text, opening the little color picker, copying a 6-digit hex code from a sticky note on your desktop.
Or trying to memorize it.
Right, memorizing a random string of numbers and letters, pasting it in, realizing the font defaulted back to Arial, scrolling through a massive drop-down menu of 800 fonts to find Montserrat Bold, adjusting the line spacing.
And doing that for every single text box.
On every single slide of a 10-slide carousel. It took 20 minutes just to format the document before you even started creating the actual content.
It was pure friction, absolute friction.
Yeah.
The Canva brand kit completely removes that friction. You input your specific hex codes, your brand fonts, and your logo exactly once.
That's one time.
From that point on, the AI analyzes any template you choose from their library of literally millions, and it automatically maps your brand identity onto it with a single click.
It's like magic.
It recolors the background, swaps the fonts, and ensures absolute visual consistency across your entire feed. It also incorporates an AI resize feature.
Oh, tell me about that.
It analyzes the focal point of, say, a square post, and automatically reframes it into a vertical 9:16 aspect ratio for a story without awkwardly stretching or distorting the image.
That alone saves hours of re-editing.
Yeah.
But, as I'm looking at this list, Canva feels like this massive, perfectly organized art studio. It's great. It's super reliable. But the guide brings up another tool called VistaCreate.
Yeah, VistaCreate.
And the way the text describes it, here's where it gets really interesting. I look at VistaCreate as the secret weapon for a beginner.
Really? What makes it stand out to you over Canva?
It's all about how the human brain actually processes a social media feed. When we are scrolling on our phones, we are scrolling fast.
Oh yeah, just zooming
Okay.
through.
We are in a total trance.
Yeah.
Our eyes naturally just glaze over static images because there are millions of them. But VistaCreate focuses heavily on subtle motion and micro animations.
Interesting.
It allows you to take a regular static educational graphic and with literally one click add a very subtle animated loop to the background, or like a slight kinetic bounce to the headline text.
Ah, I see. It triggers the peripheral motion detection in the human eye.
Exactly. It creates a pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
You don't need to go learn a massively complex program like Adobe After Effects to do it. You don't need to be a video editor.
Right.
You just apply the subtle motion, and suddenly your post doesn't just blend in with the sea of static photos above and below it. It catches the eye just long enough to break the trance of the scroll.
That split-second pause is everything. If they pause, the dwell time metric begins ticking, which immediately signals the algorithm that the content is interesting.
Exactly.
And building on that, we really have to consider the psychological impact of a cohesive visual brand when that user finally clicks through to your actual profile.
Oh, the grid layout.
Right. When a new visitor lands on your grid and sees that the colors, the typography, and the animation style are completely consistent across all your posts, it subconsciously communicates a massive amount of information to them.
It says, hey, I take this seriously. This is a real business, not just some hobby I dabble in on the weekends when I'm bored.
Exactly. It communicates intentionality and professionalism, and that subconscious perception drastically increases the conversion rate from just a casual profile visitor into a committed follower.
They trust you more.
Yes, they follow accounts they feel they can trust to deliver quality consistently.
Okay, so Canva and VistaCreate are your heavy-hitting design specialists. But the source guide also dives into tools that are much more all-encompassing. Tools that literally try to do everything at once.
The all-in-one platforms.
Right, like Predis.ai. And I'm going to be completely honest here. Reading the capabilities of Predis kind of break my brain a little bit.
It is remarkably advanced.
Because it is hyper-specific to the architecture of Instagram.
Yeah.
You don't just go in and design a graphic like in Canva.
No, it operates on a completely different level of automation. You don't really design at all, honestly. You provide context.
Right. The guide says you can give Predis a single text prompt or, get this, even just paste a URL to a blog post or an article.
Which is crazy.
So let's say you're an architect, right? And you paste a URL to a long Wikipedia article about the history of brutalist architecture.
Okay.
Predis reads the article, extracts the key points, generates a multi-slide visual carousel summarizing the article, writes a highly engaging caption formatted specifically for Instagram, and generates a cluster of optimized hashtags from one single URL.
It handles the entire life cycle of the post generation in seconds.
It's wild.
And crucially, the source notes that Predis includes a very unique competitor analysis dashboard.
Oh, right, the spy tool.
Exactly. It doesn't just look at your data. It uses AI to actually scrape and analyze the public performance metrics of other accounts in your specific niche.
So if I'm that brutalist architect, Predis is looking at the top 10 architecture accounts on Instagram, analyzing their posts, and telling me, hey, when they post about brutalism using carousel formats on Thursdays, they get a 30% bump in engagement.
Yes.
It is literally reverse engineering the success of your competitors so you can apply their proven frameworks to your own original content. That is incredibly powerful.
It gives you a roadmap based on proven data.
And then the guide mentions Okoya, which it positions as the ultimate all-in-one platform. Okoya combines the design aspect, the AI copywriting, the hashtag generation, and the scheduling into one single dashboard.
And it solves a really major workflow problem by integrating directly via API with Canva.
That's the assembly line perfected right there. You design your branded template in Canva, you push a button to send it directly to Okoya. Okoya's AI analyzes the image and writes the caption for you, and then it just drops it onto your calendar.
You never have to download a file to your desktop and re-upload it to another site.
Which is such a time saver.
It completely eliminates the friction of file management. But this naturally brings us to a critical pivot point in the creator's journey.
Where are we pivoting to?
Let's say you've used these visual engines. You have beautifully designed, slightly animated, incredibly insightful content just sitting there in your dashboard.
Okay, sounds good so far.
Here is the harsh reality. If that content stays on your hard drive, or if you manually post it at 2 a.m. when your target audience is fast asleep, all of that beautiful design work has a return on investment of absolute zero.
The art means nothing without distribution.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the distribution network, the automated schedulers. This is where we take the content we just generated and we feed it into the algorithm with perfect machine-like consistency.
Right.
The guide breaks down 4 heavy hitters here, starting with the Buffer AI assistant. And the text highlights this as the absolute best starting point for a true beginner.
What makes it so beginner-friendly compared to all the others out there?
It's definitely the interface. Buffer has always been known for being super clean and minimal, but now they've built the AI directly into the composition window.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah, so you are looking at your weekly calendar, you click on Tuesday at 9 a.m., the window pops up, and instead of staring at a blank text box feeling that writer's block, the AI is right there. You just type, write a caption about my new pottery collection dropping on Friday, and it generates the text right inside the scheduler.
No switching tabs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, the guide highlights their free plan, which is frankly wild. You can connect 3 different social channels and have 10 posts scheduled per channel at any given time without paying a single dime.
Which completely removes the financial barrier to entry. Anyone can start.
Exactly.
Now, if your brand is hyper-reliant on aesthetics, say you're a fashion brand or an interior designer or a photographer, the guide points to Later AI. Okay, Later. Later takes a very visual-first approach. It provides a drag-and-drop grid planner. It uses AI to actually analyze the color palette of your upcoming posts and allows you to preview exactly what your profile grid will look like before anything actually goes live.
Because if you're a photographer, you really don't want to accidentally post 3 heavily shadowed, dark photos in a row and ruin that beautiful checkerboard aesthetic of your grid.
Exactly. Later prevents that aesthetic clash. It also emphasizes their Lincoln.bio tool, which is a massive ecosystem for driving external traffic from your Instagram profile out to your actual website or storefront.
Which is how you turn followers into actual paying customers.
Exactly. And then the source introduces a tool that operates on a completely different conceptual framework. SocialBee.
SocialBee?
SocialBee is not a traditional chronological scheduler. It is a category-based scheduler.
I really want to spend some time on this because I think this concept is brilliant.
It's very smart.
To explain it, I want to use an analogy. Think about a major television network. When a network programs its daily schedule, they don't just air whatever shows they happen to have lying around in some random order.
No, of course not.
They have a strict formula. They have a morning news block, then a daytime soap opera block, an evening sitcom block, and a late-night talk show block. They rotate the categories to keep the audience's attention perfectly balanced throughout the day.
They ensure a diverse diet of content.
Exactly. And that is exactly what SocialBee does for your Instagram feed. Instead of just scheduling individual posts by date, you create buckets or categories.
Like folders.
Right. You make an educational bucket, a promotional bucket, a behind-the-scenes bucket, and an inspirational bucket. You just dump your content into those respective buckets, and SocialBee automatically rotates through them based on a schedule you set.
So the AI ensures that you never accidentally post, say, 4 promotional sales pitches in a row.
Which is the fastest way to get your audience to unfollow you.
It really is. It builds variety into the system automatically.
It's brilliant. But I do have a question about this section.
Sure.
The guide also mentions Hootsuite AI. It positions Hootsuite as this established legacy giant in the space. It has their proprietary Owly Writer AI. It has incredibly deep granular analytics. But the text also kind of admits that Hootsuite might be scaled more for enterprise-level teams than for solo beginners.
Right.
So if I am a listener sitting at home, building a brand from my kitchen table, do I really need the firepower of an enterprise tool like Hootsuite to be successful?
The short answer, based on the source's entire philosophy of friction, is no.
Okay.
In fact, if you are a solo beginner, the sheer complexity and the massive, overwhelming dashboard of an enterprise tool can actually become a new bottleneck.
That makes total sense.
You will end up spending more time watching YouTube tutorials on how to use the software than you will actually making content.
That's exactly what I suspected. It's like buying a commercial Boeing 747 when you just need to drive down the street to the grocery store. It's totally overkill. whereas SocialBee's category rotation is perfectly scaled for a single user to manage.
And if we look deeper at SocialBee's architecture, that category approach unlocks something even more powerful: automated content recycling.
Oh, this is huge.
This completely solves the problem of evergreen content dying an early death.
Let's define evergreen for the listener real quick. We're talking about a post that is universally relevant, regardless of when someone sees it. It's not tied to a news cycle or a specific holiday.
Correct. Let's say you spent 3 hours crafting a phenomenal, highly detailed educational carousel about the basics of investing.
Okay.
You post it on a Tuesday. Under the manual system, it lives its short lifespan in the feed for about 48 hours. It gets some great engagement, and then it is buried forever beneath your new posts.
It just becomes digital dust. Nobody will ever scroll far enough back to see it again.
Exactly. But with SocialBee, because that post is sitting in your educational bucket, once the system cycles through all the new content in that bucket, it will automatically take that evergreen investing post and re-queue it to publish again 3 months later.
Wow.
It continually breathes new life into your best performing assets without any manual effort on your part whatsoever.
That is the literal definition of working smarter, not harder. You are no longer just feeding a disposable daily feed. You are actually building a permanent asset library that pays you compounding dividends over time.
It is a fundamental shift in how creators value their own past work.
Okay, so let's check in on our progress here. Your content is beautifully designed with subtle motion.
Check.
It is categorized perfectly.
Check.
It is publishing automatically while you sleep. But we are about to run headfirst into another massive wall.
The biggest wall of all.
Right. Is anyone outside of your immediate circle of friends, family, and current followers actually seeing it?
This is the hurdle of reach. You can have a perfectly automated system churning out brilliant content, but if it operates in a total vacuum, you're just presenting a masterpiece to an empty theater.
Which is so depressing.
It really is. This requires specialized discovery mechanisms. We are moving into the discovery and data specialists.
Okay, the source guide highlights two main tools in this arena: Flick and Metricool. Let's start with Flick. Flick is positioned as the leading AI hashtag research tool, and it is vital that we understand exactly what makes it different from just Googling top Instagram hashtags.
Because that doesn't work.
Right, it does not just hand you a list of the most popular tags on the platform.
Because using the most popular tags is actually a guaranteed way to fail.
Right. I want to expand on an analogy here because it explains the mechanism perfectly. Think of hashtags like real estate markets.
Okay, real estate.
Let's say you are a brand new Instagram account with 200 followers and you decide to use a massive hashtag like hashtag fitness, which has hundreds of millions of posts attached to it.
Yeah, massive volume.
That is the exact equivalent of moving to Los Angeles with $500 in your bank account and trying to buy the biggest, most expensive mansion in Beverly Hills.
You don't have the capital to compete in that market.
Exactly. You are going to get outbid instantly. The Instagram algorithm ranks the top posts in a hashtag based on that engagement velocity we talked about earlier.
Right.
If a massive account with 2 million followers uses hashtag fitness, they get 10,000 likes in 5 minutes. If you use it, you get 3 likes.
Okay.
So within 3 seconds, your post is buried so far down the hashtag feed that no human being will ever scroll deep enough to find it.
You are functionally invisible.
So what Flick does is act like an incredibly savvy, data-driven real estate agent.
I see.
It looks at your specific account size, your average engagement rate, and it calculates your exact purchasing power in the hashtag market.
That's fascinating.
Then, it actively balances the search volume of a tag against the competition level. It completely ignores Beverly Hills, and it finds the perfect up-and-coming neighborhood. It finds those medium-volume hashtags where your specific account actually has the statistical power to rank in the top posts grid.
It finds the pockets of maximum opportunity that are completely tailored to your current weight class.
Exactly.
And as your account grows, Flick's AI adjusts its recommendations, constantly moving you into slightly more competitive, higher traffic neighborhoods.
It scales with you. That is just brilliant. Now, once Flick does its job and you are finally reaching those new people in those optimized neighborhoods, you need to understand exactly how those strangers are interacting with your content.
Right. You need the feedback loop.
Which brings us to Metricool. The guide praises Metricool as the absolute strongest analytics tool on the entire list.
It takes the concept of actionable insights we discussed earlier and just puts it on steroids.
How detailed does it get?
It provides highly detailed, incredibly granular breakdowns of your performance, separating the data by format type, so stories, reels, carousels, static posts, and it cross-references that with the exact time of day.
Wow.
But what truly sets it apart for a beginner is its pricing model.
Okay, let's talk price.
The guide highlights an incredibly generous free plan that includes 90 days of historical data tracking and unlimited scheduling for one profile per platform.
Which is a massive outlier in the software industry right now. Normally, these analytics companies will show you your data for the last 7 days for free, but if you want to see what happened a month ago to identify any sort of long-term trends, they lock that historical data behind a massive paywall.
They hold your data hostage.
Exactly. So Metricool giving you 90 days of runway for free is huge.
It allows a beginner to actually see the seasonal arcs of their content. And there is a very specific, inflexible rule from the source material regarding this data that we have to explicitly stress to the listener.
Oh, I remember this. What's the rule?
You must track your content performance for at least 4 solid weeks before making any strategic changes to your output.
4 weeks.
Yes.
In the fast-paced world of social media, sitting on a strategy that feels like it isn't working for a full month, that feels like an absolute eternity. If I post something on Monday and it completely flops, my immediate instinct is to panic and change everything on Tuesday.
It feels incredibly long, I know, but mathematically and scientifically, it is absolutely necessary.
Why?
A single week of data is virtually useless.
Really?
Yes. There are far too many external variables that you simply cannot control. Think about it. A single week could be totally skewed by a national holiday, a massive breaking news cycle that distracts everyone on the internet, an algorithmic hiccup on Instagram servers, or just a random fluke in user behavior.
Right, like if a major pop culture event happens, literally nobody cares about my educational carousel that day.
Exactly. If you change your entire visual identity and content strategy based on one bad week of data, you are reacting to random noise, not an actual behavioral pattern.
You're just flailing.
Right. 4 weeks of consistent posting gives the algorithm enough time to test your content across different user groups, and it gives you a statistically reliable baseline to draw actual, real conclusions.
That is such phenomenal advice. Stop panicking. Stop pivoting every 3 days. Let the data bake in the oven until it's actually done.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have methodically covered the design engines, the automated scheduling, the hashtag real estate, and the data analysis.
Yeah.
But there is a massive elephant sitting in the middle of the room.
A very large elephant.
And the source text does not mince words about this at all. It makes a definitive, undeniable statement. Short-form video, specifically Reels, is the absolute highest reach format on the platform in 2026.
The data is incontrovertible. The algorithm heavily biases video content because video retains user attention much longer than static images.
So ignoring video means you are actively choosing to ignore algorithmic reality.
Yeah.
If you want the unfair advantage, you have to look at short-form video.
There's no way around it.
But for a lot of people, the thought of shooting and editing video is just terrifying.
Because video production is traditionally the highest friction activity for any creator.
It's so much work.
Setting up lights, dealing with audio, learning complex, non-linear editing software, it's a massive barrier. This is exactly where the AI tools become truly revolutionary.
Okay, what do we have?
The guide points to 2 key tools that eliminate this friction: Captions AI and InVideo AI.
Let's start with Captions AI. The text describes this as a highly specialized mobile app.
Yes. At its base level, it automates transcription. You just upload a talking head video and it instantly generates the text. But it goes so much deeper than just slapping text on the screen.
What else does it do?
It uses AI to analyze your audio track and automatically edits out all of your filler words, your ums, your ahs, your long, awkward pauses.
That was amazing.
It tightens the pacing of the video instantly without you having to make a single manual cut on a timeline. Furthermore, it applies highly stylized, kinetic typography.
Meaning the text moves.
Yes, it highlights the spoken word in real time, matching current visual trends perfectly. It even includes an AI script generator built directly into the app.
It basically does the job of a professional video editor in about 10 seconds.
Pretty much.
And then we have the second tool, InVideo AI. This is a text-to-video platform.
Right.
The guide explains that you open the interface, you type a single sentence prompt. For example, create a 45-second educational reel about the history of the James Webb Space Telescope, and you literally just hit enter.
And the AI takes over completely.
In under 2 minutes, it writes the script, it generates an incredibly realistic human voiceover to read that script, It scrubs through vast libraries of licensed stock footage to find the perfect corresponding visuals, and it edits the entire package together with background music.
It is entirely autonomous generation.
Okay, I have to jump in here because I'm reading this capability, and part of me is totally amazed by the technology.
Sure.
But another part of me, like the creative part, is looking at this and thinking, is this cheating?
Ah, the cheating debate.
Yeah. If I use NVIDIA AI to generate a complete video from script to Final Cut, and I never even turn on a camera or show my face, where is the creator in that creation? Are we just pumping out soulless content at that point?
This raises a profoundly important question, and it is the debate that is currently raging across the entire digital landscape.
How about?
Is AI-generated video inherently less valuable than human-generated video? To answer your pushback, we really have to contextualize where the actual value of a piece of content resides.
Okay, break that down for me. What do you mean by where the value resides?
It entirely depends on the fundamental promise of the account you are running.
Okay.
If you are a lifestyle vlogger, a comedian, or a daily vlogger, then your face, your specific personality, and your parasocial relationship with the audience is the product.
Right. If a comedian uses AI, it's not funny anymore.
Exactly. If you replace yourself with AI stock footage, you completely destroy the value proposition. The audience will revolt because they came specifically to see you.
Right. They want the human connection.
However, if you are running an educational account, a niche informational page, or a brand account, let's go back to our examples of an architect discussing brutalism or someone sharing daily Microsoft Excel shortcuts.
Yeah.
The value does not reside in the creator's personality. The value resides entirely in the utility of the information delivered.
Ah. So the viewer scrolling at home literally does not care what the person teaching them the Excel shortcut looks like.
Exactly. They only care that the shortcut works and solves their immediate problem at work. They care that their curiosity was satisfied quickly and clearly.
That makes total sense.
If NVIDIA AI allows that niche creator to deliver highly accurate, perfectly scripted, visually engaging information consistently every single week, the audience doesn't view it as cheating. They view it as a highly efficient, valuable delivery mechanism.
It completely depends on the audience's intent. If they came for the info, just give them the info in the most engaging way possible. It's like a chef using a sous chef to chop all the vegetables. The head chef still designs the menu and plates the dish, but they used leverage to get the ingredients ready faster. The customer just cares that the meal's delicious.
That's a perfect way to look at it. And returning to Captions AI for a moment, we also have to highlight a non-negotiable reality of video in 2026.
What's that?
The absolute necessity of accessibility. A vast, overwhelming majority of users on Instagram scroll through their feed while commuting, while at work, or while in bed, meaning they have their volume completely off.
Oh, I am so guilty of this. I watch 90% of my reels in complete silence.
Most people do. If you do not have dynamic, highly readable, visually engaging captions permanently burned into your video, you are instantly alienating a massive percentage of your potential audience.
Because they don't know what you're saying.
Exactly. They cannot hear your hook, so they scroll past it within 1 second. Captions AI solves that retention problem instantly. It is not just an aesthetic choice. It is a fundamental retention strategy.
If they can't read, it doesn't exist.
Right.
All right, we need to take a deep breath here. We have just unloaded a massive, complex arsenal of software on you.
It's a lot to process.
We have meticulously broken down 12 different, incredibly powerful tools. But here is the truth. Knowing about 12 tools is just intellectual hoarding, unless you actually have a systemic framework to deploy them.
A warehouse full of heavy machinery is completely useless if you don't have a blueprint to actually build the house.
Exactly. So how do we actually put this together in the real world? I want to run a highly specific role play right now.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's say it is Sunday afternoon. It's 2:00 p.m. You have a fresh cup of coffee, you have your laptop open, and you need to set up your entire Instagram presence for the upcoming week. We are going to dive into the master playbook.
The Sunday workflow.
Yes. How do we tie all of these isolated tools into one cohesive weekly workflow?
The source guide breaks this Sunday workflow down into an incredibly elegant 4-step systematic process. Plan, generate, schedule, and track.
Let's walk through it step by step in real time. Step 1, plan.
The primary goal of the plan phase is to completely eliminate daily decision fatigue.
Which is a killer.
Yes. You do not want to wake up on Wednesday morning wondering what you should post.
No.
So on Sunday at 2:08 p.m., you open ChatGPT or Pritis.ai. You run a fixed 20-minute ideation session.
Just 20 minutes.
Right, time box it. You use a specific prompt, something like, act as an expert social media strategist. Give me 5 unique, high-engagement post ideas for a beginner learning watercolor painting. Format 2 as educational carousels, 2 as short-form reels, and 1 as an inspirational quote.
And instantly, the AI spits out 5 distinct angles. You aren't staring at a blank page anymore. You're reacting to a menu of options.
It's so much easier to edit than to originate.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
pick the best ones. That's the plan phase done. Step 2, generate.
Now you move into production, you take those 5 ideas and you draft the actual copy and visuals.
Okay.
You might use Buffer's built-in AI to write the captions, you use Flick to find the perfect neighborhood of hashtags, and you use Canva or InVideo to create the visual assets. But the source material includes a highly specific, very crucial instruction for this phase regarding the AI-generated text.
Okay, what is it?
Once the AI writes your caption, you cannot just blindly copy and paste it. You must manually review the text and add one specific, highly personal detail before finalizing it.
I cannot emphasize this single step enough. If there is one thing you write down today, let it be this.
It is vital.
This is the secret sauce. If you just copy and paste the raw output that ChatGPT spits out, you are going to sound like a corporate robot.
Because AI language models have very specific tells.
Yes. Everyone on the internet can spot an AI-written caption from a mile away in 2026. It is too perfectly structured. It is totally devoid of friction.
Yes, you clean.
Right. It constantly uses words like delve, tapestry, unlock, and navigate. It sounds like a college admissions essay.
Nobody actually talks like that on Instagram.
Ooh. No. Adding that one personal detail, typing in a quick story about how you spilled coffee on your painting that morning, mentioning a specific frustration you had with a client, or making a weird observation about the weather, that human flaw is what anchors the perfectly generated post in reality.
It introduces texture. It injects humanity back into the flawless automation. It prevents the audience from feeling like they are forming a relationship with a literal bot.
Exactly. The AI builds the house, but the personal detail is the family photos on the wall.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, step 3, schedule.
You take all those finished, slightly humanized assets you open later, Buffer or Metricool, and you batch upload the entire week's worth of content.
All at once.
Yes, you slot them into the optimal peak activity times that the analytics tool has already identified for you.
And just like that, it's 3:30 p.m. on a Sunday, and your entire week of social media marketing is completely finished.
You're done for the week.
Which brings us to the final step. Step 4, track.
Fast forward to the following Sunday. Before you begin the plan phase again, you open Metricool. You look at the actionable insights from the past week.
The insights, not just the likes.
Right. Did the reel perform better than the carousel? Did the morning post out-engage the evening post? You use those insights to inform the prompts you feed into ChatGPT for the next round. This perfectly closes the loop.
It is a beautiful self-correcting machine. And I want to pause and recognize the profound psychological shift that happens when a creator actually embraces this batching method.
It changes everything.
Under the old system, daily posting was a high-pressure, anxiety-inducing creative hurdle that just hung over your head and ruined your evenings.
You always felt behind.
Always. Under the AI batching system, daily posting becomes a completely passive, guaranteed habit. You wake up on Wednesday morning, you go about your real life, and your digital twin is already out there on the internet, publishing content and capturing attention for you.
You're drinking your morning coffee, and your automated excavator is out there digging the pool.
I love it. Okay, we are rounding the final corner here. To wrap up all this incredibly actionable advice, we need to distill the overarching philosophies from our source material.
The big picture.
Right, because knowing the tools and knowing the workflow is great, but understanding the core mindset is what guarantees these tools will actually work for you long term. Let's look at the core growth principles for 2026.
The absolute primary philosophy to remember, and this is something we touched on earlier, but the guide makes it a foundational rule, is this. These tools do not replace creative work.
I want to carve that into stone. AI does not replace your creativity.
What the tools actually do is remove the friction of execution. They handle the tedious formatting, the repetitive scheduling, the complex hashtag optimization, and the data parsing.
The boring stuff.
Right. By offloading the menial labor to the machine, the creator can focus 100% of their finite energy on what actually matters, developing their unique voice, researching fascinating topics, and building genuine one-on-one community connections in the comment section.
They clear the runway of debris so you can actually focus on flying the plane.
Precisely. Now, for the listener who is sitting there feeling slightly overwhelmed by the 12 options we discussed, wondering exactly where to start today,
Yeah, what's the bottom line?
the guide distills everything down into the ideal beginner stack. It is simple, it is incredibly powerful, and crucially, it can be run largely on free tiers.
Okay, drum roll, please. What is the stack?
The ideal stack is Canva for your visual engine, Flick for your hashtag real estate, Buffer Relator for your automated scheduling, Metricool for your deep analytics, and ChatGPT for your Sunday ideation sessions.
5 tools. That's it.
That's all you need.
Or if you are someone who just hates managing multiple logins and switching between browser tabs, you bypass the stack entirely and go with the all-in-one alternative, Predis.ai or Okoya.
Exactly. And once you have this stack running, the guiding operational principle is to ruthlessly weight your production toward what works.
Give me an example of what that looks like in practice.
If the data in Metricool clearly shows that your educational carousels are getting saved and shared at double the rate of your, quote, graphics, you do not try to fix the, quote, graphics.
Just drop them.
You abandon them entirely. You use your AI tools to immediately scale the production of the carousels. You lean heavily into the proven winners.
Makes sense.
And conversely, the rule states you should never, ever add a new AI tool to your workflow unless it solves a specific data-identified problem. Do not subscribe to new software just because it looks shiny or some tech influencer recommended it.
If the tool doesn't fix a leak in your boat, don't bring it on board.
Exactly.
So if we synthesize all of this, what does it mean? It means a small, tight stack of 5 tools that you understand deeply and use consistently will always, every single time, outperform a massive, convoluted 12-tool stack that you only use sporadically because you are terrified of the dashboard.
Consistency beats complexity every time.
Master the basics first. Let the AI do the heavy lifting and you do the human connection.
And as a final, non-negotiable strategic reminder to tie off these growth principles, the source material reiterates that building and publishing at least one reel per week is the single highest leverage growth move available to an account starting from absolute zero today.
You cannot ignore video.
You cannot.
You have to play the game. The algorithm is actively refereeing. If the referee says video gets the points, you make video.
That's just the reality of the platform.
Okay, we have covered a truly massive amount of ground today. We started by looking at how exhausting and overwhelming the social media landscape can be when you try to fight it with just manual labor.
It's an uphill battle.
But what we have really uncovered today is a story of ultimate empowerment. By utilizing this very specific strategic stack of AI tools, a single beginner sitting in their living room now possesses the exact same production capability, the exact same deep data insights, and the exact same sophisticated scheduling power of a fully established creator with a paid staff.
It levels the playing field completely.
The friction is gone. The old gatekeepers of time and technical skill are basically gone. The excavators are parked right here with the keys in the ignition, just ready for you to use.
It really is an unprecedented time in human history to be a creator. The physical and technical barriers to entry have never been lower. But because of that, the requirement for strategic thinking and unique perspective has never been higher.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating, almost philosophical thought. And I want to leave you, the listener, with a question to ponder on your own this week.
I love a good thought experiment.
It builds on everything we've talked about today, but it looks just a little bit further over the horizon of where all this technology is taking us.
Okay, let's hear it.
If artificial intelligence can now perfectly mimic our visual branding, if it can completely optimize our posting schedule based on mathematical algorithmic data, if it can write our hooks, craft our captions, and even generate our high-quality video content from a single sentence, will the very definition of authenticity on social media eventually shift?
That is the ultimate question facing the entire creator economy right now.
Right now, we care deeply about who made the content. We look for the human hand. But 5 years from now, instead of audiences caring about the identity of the creator behind the screen, will they eventually only care about how uniquely and effectively that content solves their specific problem?
It's a real possibility.
If the swimming pool gets dug perfectly and it holds water beautifully, will anyone actually care if it was dug with a spoon by a struggling human or with a perfectly automated excavator?
Probably not.
Something to chew on as you build your AI stack this Sunday. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us today. We will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to AI Creator World Podcast. If you found this episode valuable, make sure to follow the podcast, subscribe on YouTube, and share this episode with another creator who is building their future online. For deeper guides, AI tools, and step-by-step growth strategies, visit our website at aicreatorworld.net. And remember, in the age of artificial intelligence, creators who learn faster will lead the future. See you in the next episode. Bye!